Hello, everyone. This is Coach Tim Campsall, and I'm excited to have a fellow business owner with us today. Something unique about my guest is she was once featured in a national Pepsi commercial. We'll ask her a little bit about that here in a minute. In her downtime, she enjoys oil painting and escaping in her Airstream trailer with her husband. And she is most proud of her family, which we'll have her introduce to us here in a minute. It's my pleasure to welcome Theresa to the show today. Hi, Theresa.
Hello. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, hey, I'm excited to hear your story. Let's start by having you introduce yourself. Give us your full name and tell us about a little of your personal story, like where you were born and live and about your family.
Yeah, so Theresa Goodwin, I am CEO of Boldthink. So started Boldthink back in 2011. I was born, I always say Chicago, but it's like a south suburb of Chicago. It's a little town called Blue Island. It's like 10 minutes from the city, but everyone's like, what is Blue Island? So I was born there. I always say partially raised there because my family is from there. My dad's from there, but I also I grew up in Indiana. So lived in small little country towns, moved to Lafayette, and then when I turned 18, I'm like, I'm going to the big city and move into Indianapolis. Um, yeah, I've got two kids, ages 20 and 15, and Ethan and Connor, and then my husband Joel, and we will have been married. I have to do my math here. I want to say 22 years. He'll probably kill me if I get it wrong. 22 years this month.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So tell us about your commercial stardom.
Oh my gosh. It was one of those like wildly embarrassing moments, but this was probably like back in I want to say like 2007 or 8. Anyway, I was part of like this artist community here in Indianapolis, and they were doing a grant, and Pepsi gave them a grant to like feature artist work. This thing that they were doing, and so Pepsi came to Indianapolis and did a whole commercial, and they asked me to be in this, and I had no idea. Like I was thinking, oh, it'll be shown locally, like no big
Yeah,
deal.
yeah.
And it turns out that it aired, and I didn't know that it aired, and it was shown all over the US on like MTV at the time. And so like my cousins were like sending me messages like, "Is this you?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I have not seen it yet."
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, it was like my 15 seconds of fame for a
Yeah,
few months
yeah,
that
yeah.
that commercial came on.
Love it. So, Teresa, is there a funny story that your family likes to tell about you that you'd be willing to share?
I mean, my family always has funny stories to share about me. I'm like the joke sometimes. They will tell you though, like I am absolutely terrified of any like bug or creature or spider, and I am the first one to like freak out and scream if I see one. And I have to like I won't like I have to call my kids to, like come get this. Come get it. So they're always making fun of me like, "Oh, make sure mom doesn't see it."
Yeah, I love it. So, Teresa, how did business come about, and at what point did you have the confidence you could run your own business?
So I started, like I said, in 2011, and it really came out of a need to be at home with my kids, even though like my kids were, getting ready to go into like kindergarten and all of that. I was working at another agency. I was a designer, and it didn't work out per se. And so I thought, I'm gonna try freelance and see where it goes. I really need to be home for my kids because this was also like at a time where we didn't have remote work, we didn't have hybrid work. You were
Right,
expected to
right.
be in the office Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, even though I was a designer and I could have very well did some of my work like part-time,
Sure.
but it just wasn't a thing. And
Yeah.
so, really, I told my husband, like, hey, I'm going to do this. Are you okay with this? And he's like, as long as you have clients, I don't care. So I I left my job, and I immediately beelined like within like 2 days to like a networking group. Had no idea, like knew nothing about this networking group.
Yeah.
I walked in, wasn't invited. I'm like, so hey, I'm here. I'm starting a business. I need to network. And really it took off from there. I think that's really, where it started. And I just, my background was in search engine optimization, which worked to my favor when you're starting a business.
Yeah.
So I knew how to position myself online. And yeah, that's really where it started, was just out of a need,
Yeah.
as I'm sure like
Fantastic.
most businesses
I
start.
love it. Tell us more about the company. What's the name? What do you guys do? How do you help people?
Yeah, so the company is called Boldthink, and we are a brand advisory firm. And so we work with our clients on strategic positioning. And so that could be helping them find their competitive advantage, it could be their identity. We work with a lot of clients who are also looking to attract the best talent. And so we do employer branding. So it's all around, I would say, like the reputation of the company as a whole. So that's really what we're working to build. We also do a little bit of marketing, but there is the difference though, and I always love to like talk about the difference between like brand and marketing, because brand is very much like it's the long-term overview, how customers think of you, right? And so it overlaps with marketing, of course, but
Hmm.
it is very much long term. So it doesn't change a lot. It's like the foundation that everything goes back to.
Sure.
Whereas marketing, it's very short-term tactical, right? There is strategy around it, but it's very much like around campaigns and
Yeah.
sales and things
Right.
like that. And so a lot of companies forget about like the brand side of it, and they only think about it when everything feels disjointed.
Yeah.
Nothing's like really connecting. They're like, we've got 20 different messages going out
Yeah.
there. It's like, yeah, it's because, to no fault of them, brand really doesn't have the spotlight until I would say just in the last couple years. But,
Right.
they don't know what they don't know until they get into
Sure.
that point to where they're spending thousands of dollars on marketing, but it's not sticking. It's like, well,
Yeah.
it's because it's all over the board, right?
Right.
That's like in a nutshell, like a lot of the different types of things, that we do. It's when clients really need to just hone in on what they do best and how to
Mhm.
communicate it. That's
Right.
where we come in.
And who's your target market? Who are your clients?
Yeah, so we work a lot in the B2B sector. So nonprofits, service-based companies, professional services. We work with a lot of probably because of where we're at, logistics, manufacturing, warehousing companies too. So I would say like, on the professional services side, nonprofits and like some of those industrial clients are the ones we do a lot of work with.
Awesome. And is there a size of business that's ideal for you?
I always so this is a thing we're starting. I would say like for the agency side itself, they really need to have, I would say, between at least 5 million and up in annual
Okay.
revenue.
Yep.
That's typically the size. We do, however, what I was getting at, work with a lot of startups too, because we have a soft spot for startups,
Uh-huh.
especially they're coming in it with a lot of passion and they're
Yes,
so
yes.
excited. And so we also do work with startups. We don't take every single one that comes our way, but when they align with our core values and we feel the passion
Yeah,
behind what they're doing, we love to work with them too.
that's awesome. Very cool. We know, Teresa, that successful businesses can get stuck at various stages of their growth journey. So tell us about your biggest challenge and how you worked through it.
I would say the biggest challenge that I have, it's a work in progress, and it's something that I feel like I'm always working through. And I think that's like my own like self-limiting beliefs. Like I think a
Mm,
lot of entrepreneurs and business owners have that to where we kind of hold ourselves back.
yeah.
And that's something that I think has been my biggest challenge. Anytime I could go and I think about somewhere where I was stuck or a challenge that I had, it always had to do with I was holding myself back.
Yes. Yes.
And that has been truly like I've overcome it. I've recognized it. It took a long time to realize though that that was the issue, that I was the bottleneck
Yes. Yes.
of that. And so, really I've gotten a lot better at it. I have found some great people to work through like, hey, how did you get through this? Like
Yeah.
having like some
Yeah.
of those mentors. But that's really have for me, that has been my biggest challenge is myself.
Yeah. Mindset is a significant component of success. And one of the frameworks that we use to explain that, it's B times do equals have. But the idea is we all want to have certain things out of life, and that requires us to do certain things in the business so that the business can pay for what we have out of life, but we can only do who we are. Right? And
Hmm.
so our B, right, becoming a better version of ourself, working through our self-limiting beliefs and right and identity challenges or value challenges of, I'm not good enough or I'm not capable, like whatever those lies are that we tell ourselves, right, is 100% correlated to whether we're going to be able to do the things that are required in the business. So I appreciate you sharing that and being vulnerable because it's not
Yeah.
talked about enough, but it is a significant component of whether we're going to be successful or not.
Yeah. And I think too, like as a business owner, our job, it almost conflicts in the sense that we need to take risks, but we also have to minimize risk. And I
Yeah.
feel like
Yes.
those two things are always at odds with each other,
Yes.
like as a
Yes.
business owner. And so it's learning, how to, navigate that, I think, which again, it's always a work in progress.
Yes. I like the word that calculated risk, right? So then it does help bring those two paradigms together of, yeah, I know I need to lean forward and take some risk, but I'm going to do some research first and help eliminate some of the low-hanging things that are going to trip me up.
Yes.
So along with that success vein, we also know that it doesn't happen in isolation. So I'm gonna put you on the spot here, Teresa, and ask you to pick three people in your business owner journey that you're most grateful for them being there to help with your business's growth and its success. So who are those three people and how they help you?
So I'm going to start, the first person of course, I'm going to say my husband, Joel. And, the reason I am putting him first is one, when I started Boldthink, and this isn't a story that a lot of people know about me, and that's that we had a business before even Boldthink. Like, that's like a whole nother podcast, right? We started it in like 2006, 2007, but of course that was around the time when like we started to go into a recession, right? And we had like a storefront. So,
Oh, yeah.
a very challenging time and we had to close it down. So a year, 2 years later, I am asking my husband like, how do you feel
Yeah.
about me starting another business? And the one thing that he had said and he always says, and it's great and it's equally terrifying for me. He's like, but if I'm going to put my money on anyone and bet on anyone, it's going to be you.
Nah,
And so that's really been like, his point of view throughout like this whole entrepreneurship, owning a business journey.
yeah.
And so I would put him as my number one. I would say number two is my fractional CFO, Hillary Dolby. She is out of Michigan, but she and I started working together in, I want to say 2021. And so this is a year after COVID hit,
Yeah.
where our business did see a lot of challenges, like as all businesses did,
Right. Yeah.
like around COVID time. And COVID had like a personal story for me, where I went through a lot with COVID. I lost my grandparents early on, same day, or, during COVID. We lost a
Oh,
lot of clients. Like there was just a lot
yeah.
that happened. And when I met Hillary, it was like at this fork in the road of I'm either going all in or I'm going out because
Mm.
like that it was like one of those things. And I think all business owners, I do feel like get to that point in their journey. They're like, do we move forward? Do we not?
Yes. Yes.
Right. And she came in and she was just completely unbiased. She's like, like if you want to move forward, I will get you to where you need to be. Like we will work through this together. And I have been working with her ever since. She's really more than a fractional CFO to me, but she's also a mentor because she has
Mm.
just seen so many
Sure.
businesses and stories. And I think that's been she's just been incredible for me. And then I would say third, and he probably doesn't even know this, but I had for 5 or 6 years, I had a sales coach. His name was Shad Tidler. And he was again, I met with him once a week. He was a fantastic mentor. He taught me everything about sales and leadership and how
Yeah.
to manage a team. And you know, that was also like a moment in my business to where it's like, wow, every business owner should probably go through some sort of sales training because you don't know what you don't
Yeah.
know. You think you know
Yes.
it until someone's
Yes.
like, oh, do you? So, you know, I would say, you know, those are the three that really stand out to me. And I'm going to throw in just like a little group of a fourth, which would be my team.
Hmm.
I have a fantastic team who um, just lets me step away. They take things on. They're always asking me, like, hey, what can I do to help you? Like, you
Yeah.
know, like we went out on vacation a week ago and they're like, okay, I want you to close your laptop, don't get on. What can we do to make this happen?
Yeah, yeah.
So that would be my fourth.
Love it. You mentioned they don't know what you don't know. It's interesting that the school system, generally speaking, prepares us to be employees. It doesn't prepare us to be business owners. And then those of us who go out and do it, right, it's like, oh my goodness, there's all this stuff that I'm not prepared for. I don't know how to do, but it's expected of me, and I guess I'm just going to have to figure it out.
Yes. And that is like one of the traits if you want to be a business owner, like yeah, you make sure like you are ready and willing to roll up your sleeves and just figure it out because yeah, you don't go to I mean, maybe you do. I don't know. Do you go to school for being a business owner? I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are some entrepreneurial programs, but they're not really focused on business ownership. And
Mhm.
so, that's one of the things that we do. Why business coaching exists is because of that void. And because continuous learning is so important as part of, right, that journey and figuring things out. So
Yeah.
I guess to that vein, what's been your biggest learning as a business owner?
You know, for me, I think it is understanding delegation and
Hmm.
you know, with delegation, and I think this is especially true, like as you know, people are getting started, you know, a lot of people build their businesses around a skill set that they have,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
you have a skill that people are willing to pay for, like you have value there. But as you grow, you can't do it all. Like you will eventually you know, get to your hours, the amount of time you can put in like
Yep.
on your work, right? And so you have to hire
Yes.
with that becomes, well, how do I train these people? Because everything that you know is in your head, right?
Yep.
Because that's how you built your business. And this is where they say, like, you have to document your processes and
Yeah.
standard operating procedures
Yes.
and delegation. And so I think for me, that has been like one of the things that I've had to learn how to do is
Yeah.
one, get it out of my head, two, train my team to do those processes,
Yeah.
and then three, allow them and trust them enough to do the job, even though it's not going to be exactly how I would do it. And I
Yes. Right.
think you know, for me, like there's like this rule I think that I've read somewhere. It's like 80%. If they can do it 80% of the way
Yeah.
that you would execute it, it's fine. Don't micromanage. You know, you just have to accept that.
Yeah.
And honestly, the people that they're doing the work for, they're not going to know the 100%, right?
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
what they are getting is excellent. And so I think for me, that's been probably like one of the biggest things to overcome is just that delegation side and learning how to do it in a way that I'm comfortable with, but then like the team feels like they have ownership of it and the trust to get the work done.
It's the number one hindrance of businesses growing. The stat is something like only 9% of businesses ever make it to a million and less than 1% ever make it to five. And so
Really?
so the ones that make it to one are typically the owners still doing everything themselves. They may have team, but they're still, right, they still have their hands in everything. But to your point, right, you can't, there becomes a plateau where the business can't grow beyond the owner's capacity unless they transition to what you were just sharing in terms of it, we call it scaling strategies instead of, the startup strategies where the business owner does have to let go. And it's hard because, right, you've created this baby that you put in all of the years and sweat equity and, right, and figured it out and finally, right, got to a level of success. And then you've got to delegate and trust other people to do it. And yeah, it's
Yeah, it's
very
hard. It
hard.
is. It was.
Yeah.
It was difficult, I have to say, but kind of like along that same line of things too. I think I've had to then grow as a leader.
Mm,
And I think, that's the other big transition is, you have to learn how to not manage people, but lead people. And I think,
yes.
that goes
Yes.
hand in hand with that
Yes.
too.
Yeah, yeah. There's a natural progression of, self-employed to then becoming a manager, to then becoming a leader, to then becoming, in our terminology, a true business owner, where the business can run without the owner for 3 to 6 months, right?
Hmm.
And that's sort of the goal is, business ownership's hard, so we should never start a business unless we plan to have it be able to run without us, so that it's a sellable asset. Otherwise, right? It's just so much less stress and anxiety to stay as an employee for someone else. So,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
but growing up that curve, right? It's there's a significant amount of, like you mentioned, the 80/20 rule. I mean, that what I like about that concept is, if you think of the idea that, well, that person is going to take 3 times as long to do it as I am. It's like, yeah, but they're actually getting paid more than 3 times less, per hour than you are as the owner, or at least what you should be being paid. So it's great, frees you up to work on the business more instead of in the business, and can drive the growth. And yeah,
Yes.
the
Yeah.
systems that you talked about, super important, because people can't read our minds, right? They don't know that thing that we've been doing for
Yes.
5 years in our head.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. I mean, yeah, and I think that's the, kind of like where I, I'm at. I always kind of see myself like you mentioned like that curve of like a business owner, right? Like where you are. And, I sometimes like I'm leader is like always business owner is the goal. I'm probably like go between leader and business owner, but
Yeah,
sometimes I have fallen back down to manager
sure. Yeah,
as
of
well.
course.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
it just is as long as it's a healthy balance
Yeah.
and you can try to avoid burnout and
Yeah.
all of that stuff that goes with it.
Yeah.
It's
The other
good.
mistake I see a lot is people try to skip the manager step, right? And they more abdicate responsibility instead of managing. And right, well, I'll just hope that people will follow the process and do it well. Like, no, right? Hope is not a good strategy.
No, that is a terrible strategy.
Everybody needs to be managed to results to make sure that they're doing it right and on time and on budget. And then once they've proven themselves, then we can move to more of a leadership role where we're inspiring and motivating as opposed to managing. But yeah, I mean, the steps can't be skipped. But we'd love to skip them because, right, especially if we've been in the grind as a business owner for a number of years, we finally have some team members like, oh, thank goodness, I don't have to
Yeah,
do anything
I
anymore.
can breathe a little.
So you mentioned mindset earlier, and how important it is, and so I'd love your thoughts on what guidance would you give a business owner who's feeling frustrated or discouraged in their business?
Yeah, and honestly, it's kind of something that, I still have to go back and, and do myself. And so advice even to myself is, for me, it's always remember why you started,
Mm,
because that's going to be your anchor and it has to be
yeah,
beyond, you know, just making money,
yeah,
right? It's
yeah,
for me, it's have those anchors and those things like your vision and why you're doing the things because things will get hard.
yeah.
Like absolutely. Like you will go into crisis mode. Like I always tell people when they're like, what's it like to own a business? I'm like, it is a roller coaster. It is up and down. And one day I'm so excited and happy. The other day I'm in a corner crying, right? Like
Yeah,
that is just the journey that you take. It's never perfect. It's never linear. It's kind
yeah.
of beautiful chaos. But for me, it's, yeah, remember why you started. And for me, that anchor is my family, and it's the freedom and flexibility that I have, like when my kids need me to be there, or, I have to step away to do something. That's really what
Yeah,
brings me back to it. But it's also the opportunities that we have, going on vacations and doing the things and, it's all of those things that I think, you have to have that purpose,
Yeah.
why you did it. And then there's also the for me, I love helping business owners.
Mm,
That lights me up. I get to meet so many people and hear so many incredible stories. And, I get business owners that are so excited when they come to work with us. And then I have the business owners who are struggling, who are like, I just don't know where to start.
yeah.
And to be able to guide them and to help them, that's a whole nother purpose for me, is being able to touch so many different people. So, you know, that's what I tell myself,
Yeah.
when
I,
I'm going through
I
it.
love it. Yeah. Vision, purpose. It should be the thing that inspires and motivates us to get out of bed every day. And right. And if we don't have that, then we don't have that pull and that nudge of, yep, now it's just another hard day versus no, I get to make this impact or make this difference and have this lifestyle. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And you just brought something up too that, it's almost like a little exercise that I do, like when things get tough. Like we sometimes start with, oh, I have to.
Uh,
I have to. But it's like, no, I get to. Like I get to do
yes.
these things. And so I
Yes.
think it's like the flipping of those words sometimes also makes all the difference.
It sounds crazy, but our choice of words are super critical because our subconscious doesn't know what's right or wrong. It just knows what we tell it. So
Mhm.
if we say I have to, then our subconscious is like, well, this sucks. Versus I get to, all it hears is that excitement, right? So
Yeah.
even self-limiting beliefs you mentioned earlier, right? When we change it and turn it into an affirmative I am statement, that has superpower in terms of what we think, feel, and believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Teresa, as you think about the next year, what's your biggest priority that you still need to sort out?
Yeah, so for me, one of the things, and I kind of hinted at this earlier, we work with a lot of clients that are well into their business journey. We work with a lot of CEOs. They're 5 million in revenue. They could be 100 million in revenue, right? You heard me talk about startups, so that's kind of like where my who I love to work with because they're always the most excited. We have created a community. It's called the Founders Huddle, and it's new, but it is aimed at startups who maybe can't afford the agency, right? Like
Mhm.
but they need help, and
Yeah.
so it's an app, and it's this community of founders to where they get access to my team, and they can ask the questions, they could get advice, they could see the frameworks and the
Oh,
strategies
wow.
that we work through with our clients. And that is my biggest thing for the next year. It's how do we touch more people? How do we help more people that
Mhm.
maybe can't afford the 10, 15, 20 something $1,000 price tag, but
Sure.
they have to have something, right? They have to have some of that guidance. And so that is the biggest opportunity that I feel like we are working through because it just doesn't exist
Yeah.
for those startups, right? Like I
So
think there's like,
why is helping more startups important to you?
oh my gosh, because like it's all about helping them fulfill their purpose.
Mm,
I don't even know how to explain the feeling of like what that like light bulb and warm and fuzzy feeling is like when you get to help someone achieve their dreams. Like it's like a dopamine hit in a way.
yeah.
Like I just helped someone. Like I love that. And what better way to strengthen like our community than by having like more
Mm,
business owners and more
yeah.
job creation and all of the things that fuel the economy. Small businesses are the backbone to our economy.
Yeah.
And I think there's so many resources that are out there on social media. Like you have these influencers, like you're just overwhelmed with the information that's out
Yeah.
there when it comes to starting a business. And my goal with this is to help filter through the noise and to say,
Mm,
okay, like here's what I've seen work
yeah.
in my 20
Yes.
years of working with business owners, and here's the frameworks that we've used. Ask questions, and we'll do our best, to answer any questions in as much detail as we
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
So,
I love it. That's fantastic. Awesome way to give back and create the next generation of the $5 million businesses.
yes, yes.
Last question, Teresa. Jim Rohn, one of his famous quotes is, "We become the average of the five people we spend the most time with." So as you think about that, What advice would you have for a business owner who's feeling stuck and trying to figure it all out by themselves?
Yeah, don't figure it out all by yourself. That would be the thing. Like I absolutely recommend, connecting with people in your community that are going through the same type of journey as you, but also aim a little bit higher
Yeah,
as well. Like have a mentor that is super successful that you want to emulate, and ask them the questions.
yeah,
But I do think it's important that you navigate it with people who are in a similar journey because like friends and family, if they don't own a business, like they don't always understand
yes.
challenges that you're going through. Like they don't get it as much as they want to. And
In
I
fact,
think
it's oftentimes they'll give advice that's not helpful. Like, well, why don't you just go back and be an employee? You seem really stressed. Why don't you just stop being stressed?
yes. Yeah. Or like they give the biased opinion of like, oh, you're doing so great. And it's like, oh, but I know I'm not. Like it's almost like an unbiased perspective and filter.
Mm,
Like sometimes
yeah.
it's like the shake that you need to like
Yeah.
snap out of it. And I think, yeah, that for me, the first thing that I did when I started Boldthink was going into a networking group of similar businesses
Yeah.
who needed the sales. They needed the advice. They needed that connection.
Yeah.
That was the best thing that I ever did. And then the second was again, like going a little bit higher of the people that have been there, done that, who can guide me through some of those other challenges that I didn't have.
Fantastic. I appreciate the advice. It sounds like you've been blessed with some incredible people in your journey. If they were all here today, what would you want to say to them?
Thank you. That would be the biggest one is just, you know, for my clients, thank you for believing in me and putting your trust in me because like I have built some incredible relationships over along the way. And then I think, for everybody else, just, again, a big thank you for just being in my life and being in my circle and going through this journey with me. It's been incredible.
Teresa, it's been a pleasure speaking with you today. Thanks for being on the show.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Self-Made is a Myth show. Please help spread this movement by liking and subscribing to our show and following us on Facebook and LinkedIn. To join our movement, go to bemadtogether.com. Okay, folks, that's a wrap. Please pay it forward and be sure to tune in next time to the Self-Made is a Myth podcast.